Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm ditching this. In today's video, I'm going to be trying my very best to replace my screen time with book time, because I am trying to get through these books before the end of the month. Now, when you're watching this, you might be thinking I'm crazy because there will be only 2-ish weeks, well, a week and a bit of the month left. But in fact, I am filming this in a week in advance, so I have 2.5 weeks left to finish these books. I don't think I'm going to finish The Secret History. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. But the other two, I have a very good chance of actually finishing if I can stick to this goal that I'm setting myself. So, we all know that the young people of today are addicted to our phones. We're not even going to play around. We're not even going to try and sugarcoat it or anything. I want to reduce my screen time because why not? I really don't need to be spending as much time on my phone as I do. And I actually think that I am one of the people, well, I think I spend less time on my phone than the average person my age. But I still think it's too much time on my phone. Specifically, and this is unfortunate for me to have to say this because of where you're watching this, YouTube. I spend between an hour to an hour and a half to 2 hours every morning, basically. Usually it's around an hour to an hour and a half, but sometimes if I watch something else later in the day, then my screen time on YouTube will creep up to 2 hours and sometimes even more. But in the mornings, I usually spend about an hour watching YouTube videos. Every morning of the week, basically. Almost every morning. And I would like to change that because YouTube is every week the #1 thing on my screen time report that my phone sends me weekly. And it's not necessarily a bad thing because I really enjoy the content that I watch and I love the people to whom I am subscribed. So I'm not saying YouTube is bad. I just want to test out what it would be like if I spent less time watching YouTube videos and more time reading books in the morning, because otherwise I might never reach my reading goal by the end of the year. And I don't know, I think it would be nice to just read a book in the morning instead of staring at a screen. So if you're interested in watching me do this thing and seeing if it actually makes me feel better, if it makes a difference, if I actually stick to my goal, then come along, because that's what we're going to be doing in this video. concludes my little experiment for the week. I would say I think it went very well. I didn't read an extraordinary amount, like I didn't finish 3 books in a week, but that was not what I was going for. I was just going for roughly an hour's reading every morning instead of being on my phone for that hour of the morning. And I think I achieved that. I read I read 153 pages of, I have to check the title, of Nightwood by Djuna. I am, I think, 70% through. And then I also listened to the audiobook version of The Night Circus. And I would say I listened to about 60% of that. I think I'm 80% through now. And I read about the first 20% in the physical copy. Let's check some stats on my phone, on my screen time. My screen time report for the week says that my average screen time for this week is 29% less than last week's, for an average of 2.5 hours a day, which I think is pretty good. I've got it under the 3-hour mark, which I'm very happy about. My average YouTube screen time is, let's check, I think, yeah, it's half of what it was last week, which I'm very glad about. It's 50% less, or well, roughly, which I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm pleased about, because I haven't exactly cut it out completely, but I have been actively trying to spend less time on YouTube, especially in the mornings when I wake up, and doing things like reading instead, or instead of watching a video in the background of doing some work or whatever, I would listen to the audiobook of The Night Circus. So I think by the end of the week, I'm going to have finished both of these books, which I'm very pleased about, and then I can move on to the other books on my immediate to-read list, which I'm very excited about, to be honest with you. These 2 books, I'm not all that thrilled with these 2 books that I'm currently reading, so I'm very glad to be almost done with them so that I can move on to something else that I'm more excited to read. But with all that said, thank you for joining me in this week's video. I hope you enjoyed watching my little experiment, and I hope it inspires you to maybe take a look at your screen time and try and take some of that time that you would be spending on your phone and spend it reading instead, or listening to an audiobook. Thank you all for being here. I will see you all again next week with another video. Bye.